$8.5 billion. This is the number that the global motorsport market is expected to grow to between 2020 and 2025. And this is Frederick Vasser, former Renault F1 boss, the Alfa Romeo team principal and entrepreneur. Not much is known about this team boss. What we do know is that he has a lot of business activities outside of his role at Alfa Romeo. He's nurtured some of the best young talent in motorsport throughout his career. And he's probably one of the most influential businessmen in the whole of motorsport. But what makes me say this? Welcome to the Racing House. My name is Sakki, and keep watching to find out why I'm so impressed with Frederick Vasser and how he plans to take an even bigger chunk out of this projected $8.5 billion number. We're very used to hearing about the big boy team principals, Toto, Christian, Mattia. Am I on first name terms with all these guys? I wish. Getting back to the point, we often forget about the little guys, the team principals that are still doing a great job but just aren't in the limelight as much because they aren't winning races. Well, as I found out, these little guys aren't actually that little and they actually deserve a lot more of the limelight. But what makes me say this? I think we've got some investigating to do. So let's throw it back. The year is 1968. It's the 22nd Formula One World Championship. 44 drivers took part in the championship that year, and Graham Hill secured the Drivers' Championship, taking 3 wins in the process. And most importantly, Frederick Vasser was born on the 28th of May in Draveil, France. What we do know is that he went to university and graduated with a degree in aeronautical technique and automotive engineering. Now his story really began to get interesting when straight out of university he founded his very own motorsport team in 1996 known as ASM, and they went on to compete in Formula 3 with the assistance of Renault. And after his first year in Formula 3 he had a lot of success and he went on to create a relationship with Mercedes, and we're already starting to see how deeply embedded he is in the motorsport industry, creating these partnerships with 2 huge motoring brands. And then in 2004 he went on to create a new team with a certain individual called Nicolas Todt, son of the former Ferrari boss and current FIA president Jean Todt. They created the team ART Grand Prix and went on to bring into the sport so many very young drivers, including Lewis Hamilton, Nico Rosberg, Charles Leclerc, George Russell, and there are quite a few other recognisable names. And although Nicolas Todt has been stated as saying that he's now sold his shares in the team, Frederick Vasser is still listed as having involvement in this team, and this is on top of his day job, but in between he's been so busy. But what has he been up to? Well, he started a company called Spark Racing Technology, but what do they actually do? Well, according to them, it develops and engineers high-performance electric cars and modules. Pretty random for an F1 loving petrolhead. Well, not so random when we actually look at how it happened. The FIA and Formula E Holdings, who promote and organise events, said we plan to create an all-electric racing series of Formula E. Can anybody help us make these cars? 40 of them to be exact. Step forward Frederick Vasser, who said, yep, we can do that for you, no problem. And so the FIA granted them with that contract to build 40 of the cars in the inaugural season of Formula E. Spark Technology doesn't actually just stop there. This experience and reputation has meant that Vasser and Spark Technology have become the company behind Extreme E cars. This is an all-electric SUV racing category with a twist that tries to challenge social change. In their own words, they aim to bring electric racing to some of the most remote corners of the planet to highlight the climate change challenges faced by different ecosystems. And by doing this, they hope to showcase the performance of these all-electric SUVs in very extreme conditions. With all this in mind, I'm very excited for this upcoming racing category of Extreme E. But hold up, if you thought that was all that Spark Technology had to offer, there's even more exciting things on the table for them. Vasser and Spark Technology have taken it one step further by becoming technical partners and investors in Fuel. No, not Fuel, I'm talking about Fuel with 2 L's. He's hoping to take all those L's and turn it into a big fat W with Fuel's 2-wheelers, which are effectively all electric motorbike scooter things. No, not that type of electric scooter. We're talking about these types. For now, their target is to go for the urban macro mobility sector, whatever that means, and the city journeys that require a person to get in a vehicle to travel over 3 miles. Now, looking at these designs, they're pretty cool things, and personally living in London myself, I'm seeing a lot more people using scooters, and there's a big rise of electric vehicles as well. So I can see the rising demand for vehicles like this. I feel like they're definitely onto something. I really think he's in a very unique position to help mould F1 and motorsport and the wider world as a whole. We'll see him expand his own technology company and advance the technology that they own. And I see these types of technologies becoming more prominent in our day-to-day day-to-day lives. We've already seen it with the huge popularity of things like the Tesla EVs. This is a massive growth area globally, and Fuel are positioned perfectly to capitalize on this huge growth coming. What does this mean for the world of motorsport? Because I'm always looking for great stories from F1 to inspire me to make videos with my own fictional F1 team, Torquisa. With that in mind, I look to the grid for inspiration, and I expect to see an increased profile of Formula E as the technology gets bigger and better. They're able to race for longer, potential for races in Formula E and Formula 1 to be combined. We've already heard Toto Wolff mention this fact recently, so I expect it to happen at some point, and Formula E to really use the Formula 1 platform to boost its profile because the technology's getting there. I also expect to see more all-electric racing series, just like we've seen with Formula E in the last decade, and just like we're going to see with Extreme E racing. For me, it's just the beginning. With this kind of investment and involvement from Vasser and his Spark technology company, I expect to see a racing series potentially on two wheels using his technology and his two-wheel vehicles. This could come in and provide a real alternative to things like MotoGP. There may be categories out there already, but this is a pretty easy route for him to go down, considering he's already got the technology in place to execute it perfectly. And going back to his Formula 3 and F2 involvements, just listing those names that I mentioned before, he obviously has a huge impact on providing talent and feeding it through to Formula 1. We've just seen a few of the names that have gone on to have very, very successful careers. He's been very successful in that F2 team, F3 team, all that activity, and his role is vitally important in terms of nurturing young, ambitious talents to make sure that they can take the next step up into Formula 1 and still be successful. We've seen it so many times in the past with ART Grand Prix, and I think we're going to keep on seeing it in future. So that just about finishes off my video about why I think Frederick Vasser is one of the most influential people in the whole of motorsport. Let me know what you thought in the comment section down below. I hope you all enjoyed it. Until next time everyone, thanks for watching. Like, subscribe and hit that notification bell to ensure that you get all my latest videos.